Coming up at 10, Middays with Marks. Now more of Kincaid and Saltunis.
97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
We're halfway home on this edition of Kincaid and Saltunis. What number is this today? 581. 581.
That's a lot of them.
We're going to get to 600 and some before I get out of here.
Yes, we are.
So we get to 600 and some. Andrew DiCecco is with us in studio. He was out there, saying hello to the old crew because Andrew's got to do those kind of things when he's here. He's a man of the people. He does that. Good morning.
Good morning. I like to think that I am.
You are. And we were chopping it up on the birds, doing a little preview of what we're going to be getting into on the show with you here.
Love to see you in here. How did you enjoy? You've been away from practice. It'd been months. I'm thinking it's sort of like when somebody goes to rehab and they put them in a room and they're probably sweating and they're going through the shakes. You got to see a football practice again 2 days in a row. How did that feel to you?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things ever. Just being out there and being able to kind of see everything come together, the free agent additions, the draft picks, and the whole team coming together as a collective, and then kind of seeing. I never like to make too much off of OTAs, of course. Like, I don't base anything of what I see off of player performance. I look at alignment, how personnel is being utilized, and things like that, so that it paints a clearer picture for what you can expect in training camp when things really start to ramp up. But, man, it was great to be back out there. Perfect weather as well.
Do you have your notebook with you? Because it's in your head.
I remember everything that I saw, but the notebook stays with me.
Because I hope you've seen it. 8:30 today, you're downloading what you saw. You have to download thoughts for us and everything. We want to hear the highlights of what you saw.
Right.
So people are looking forward to that.
That's the other part of this. I get a new notebook. And I might need another one.
Is it like the first day of school?
Does it have like the fresh paper smell?
It's not the college ruled or anything like that.
Did you go wire bound or did you go the hardback? Did you like the ones that were more?
I did. I went with the wire bound one, but I will do the flip pad for training camp.
I did not like the wire bound notebooks.
Oh, okay.
I like the ones that had like the marble.
I did. I have a
black
small
and white
one.
marble ones that were more of a
composition.
hardback.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I like them a little bit.
The composition
better.
ones.
Well, Andrew DiCecco joins us, and I wanted to start with this, and it was yesterday because Nick Sirianni addressed the Jalen Carter situation, and it seemed like he wanted to give one answer, and then he stopped himself and he gave another answer. Let's listen in.
I don't have to get into, I'm not going to get into all those different things. Right now, I've been able to work some individual scenarios, and individual practices. And that's where everybody's in a little bit different boat right now of, where they are in the off season. And that's where Jalen is right now.
Jalen Carter we talked about it this morning. In 6 weeks from today, I am stating with absolute conviction, we will be talking about a hold-in for Jalen Carter. He will not participate in team activities if he doesn't have a new contract. You looking at him and seeing what you saw, what did you think about that situation? It seemed like Nick wanted to say something and then stopped himself.
Well, when you don't see Jalen Carter participate in team drills on the first day of mandatory minicamp, my antenna raised naturally, and it's something you file away. This is someone who had injuries to both his shoulders last season, but then you also look at the contract side of things. So I think it's kind of two-sided here. But, yeah, I mean, I always was of the mind, my belief was that they picked up his fifth-year option, so they bought themselves some time. You might want to get ahead of things here. He's been a productive player when healthy. He clearly wasn't the same player last year, but there's reasons for that. But this is a dominant force who's going to be a piece for the future, so I would imagine the Eagles are going to want to take care of that. Now, as to the other part of what you were saying, John, I don't know. I don't know if he would be a hold-in. I'm not there yet. There's still some time here for both sides to work some things out.
There is. And something can change in 6 weeks.
A lot can change in 6 weeks.
But if a contract is not agreed to, he's not participating, is what I'm saying emphatically with zero capability. He's not going to be participating in team drills. Now, activities.
Individuals
and being in the classroom and things like that. He'll be a good citizen and a good soldier.
Okay, yeah.
But that's different. That's different. Does that concern you at all?
No, because I believe that it's inevitable that the two sides will eventually work it out. It's just about coming to an agreement here. I mean, Chris Jones sets the pace. You have Dexter Lawrence as well. Jalen Carter, by all accounts, is going to clear both of those players. So it's going to reset the market, and that's not something that you take lightly. And I don't expect the Eagles to be hasty, or either side really to be hasty as they come to terms on an agreement.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Zach Bond situation after his first year in Philly, where he was on the one-year deal. You have to re-sign him as a free agent, and the whole fan base was like, they better re-sign Zach Bond. And I sat here, kicked my feet up, and I said, guarantee he's back, because rational, good organizations don't let players like that walk out of the building. And I think Jalen Carter fits into that mold, right? We talked earlier about the Micah Parsons situation in Dallas, how that contract negotiation went sour. He ends up in Green Bay. There's no way that Howie Roseman allows that to happen with a player like Jalen Carter, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine. He's part of the nucleus. When you look at this Eagles defense, and man, do they look like they're off to another fast start, as to be expected when players, a lot of them have been together for 3 years. He's going to be a centerpiece and someone that you're going to see grow with the likes of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Continue to. He's going to be. I can't imagine a world where he's not in Philadelphia for the long term.
I tried to search the players that have been publicly criticized. Such a dork. By Vic Fangio in his tenure here. And I found Jordan Davis quotes where he criticized him publicly. I found quotes with Huff, his first year before he ever hit the field. And I found Jalen Carter quotes. That's pretty much it. Like do you think that's just tough love? That Vic Fangio knows the caliber of player that he can call out publicly?
Depending on the player, right? I mean, Bryce Huff, he was a truth teller there. Vic Fangio is always a truth teller, but it was apparent early that the fit was a little questionable within his defense. But with someone like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, yes, I think that's tough love. And for as dominant as Jalen Carter has been when fully healthy, there's, the other things you have to be mindful of. Like, you can't get ejected in the first game of the season by spitting on someone and things like that. I think you have full appreciation for the intensity in which he plays the game. He flips a switch and turns into just a menace out there. But there's a line, and you just need to make sure that you don't cross that line. If he's able to kind of strike that balance, the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, and we'll save your reaction to this when we get to our poll question, because it has to do with your reaction to a Jalen Carter potential huge contract, and what the people are saying on that is interesting. But I think Eagles fans are overthinking it a little bit if you're overlooking at this contract. He is an undeniably talented player, like future superstar player, if you don't already believe he's there. And no perfect player exists. Like, you want those issues to not be a thing. You want them to be on time for everything, not getting ejected from the game, some of the penalties that we've seen him take. Sure, but ultimately, isn't that heavily outweighed by the talent of the player?
Yes, and you're also banking on the Eagles support system that they have in place to kind of work some of those really just some of those incidents out of the player. He's a young guy, and not everybody's wired the same, but when you look at the leadership that they have in place, I imagine that that's something that isn't going to be something that creeps up again. It's just about staying healthy and getting right and returning to form.
Another thing we talked about is that a domino fell that was not expected to fall that affects the Eagles in their re-signing of their quarterback to his contract extension, whether it comes this offseason, during the season, or at the end of next season. Pat Mahomes adds 2 years to a contract that ran through 2031, now extends to 2033, and he sets a new average year number at $64 million, which Dak Prescott's $60 million number, I always looked at, and you always talked about it, I look at that as a fake number since it's a gosh, why am I drawing a franchise tag? A franchise tag number.
Sure.
I look at that as a fake number. I don't count that. On a contract number, 64 is huge.
Yeah, it is.
And now that's a number that I bet Howie Roseman wasn't expecting to be there before he negotiated Jalen's number. Do you think that's fair? Considering Mahomes was running through 2031 already.
Yeah.
And you have 3 years left, 26, 27, 28 of Hurts. I don't think he was expecting the Chiefs to go, yeah, Mahomes is through 31. We're going to add 2 more years to it now and up his average to $64 million a year.
Probably, but if it wasn't Patrick Mahomes, it would have been somebody else. The longer the Eagles continue to wait, you talk about Lamar Jackson.
That's
and some of those other players.
That's the one I'm worried about, and I don't know why I'm worried about it, but it's just I could see Baltimore saying, "Well, we can't let him go," and I could see Baltimore overpaying.
I could see them, throwing a bag at
and I don't
Lamar
think
Jackson.
Jalen's taking a penny less than he's not going to take a penny less.
Nor should he.
And I would agree with you. And so to me, I think that hurts. That's why I want him to get his money first.
Yeah, I know you've been in that camp. For me, I've always been of the school of thought, especially when implementing this new offense. It's not about what Jalen Hurts has already done because he checks off every box you can imagine. It's about this offense, which is something that Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, organizationally, they want to implement this. They believe in it. And they've really had an affinity for it from afar. They need to make sure that they're able to check off all the boxes when it comes to running the offense through the vision of Sean Mannion, and who's more important than the quarterback. So I think they kind of just want to see how things go before ending up with the payday.
I just ask because the owner has made a commitment that he's always loved this kind of offense.
Yes,
he's always desired it. He has won 2 Super Bowls not running that kind of offense, and they have run through teams like a hot knife through butter in the NFC that do run that type of offense.
Right.
And I'm always fascinated by it.
To your point, the Eagles have had an awful lot of success with Sean McVay.
Right. I mean, that's what
an awful lot of success.
He's their boy. He's their boy. They have Sean McVay on a leash.
They
have Sean McVay on a leash. And by the way, they've had great success against eyebrows in Green Bay, and they've had very, very success otherwise. I mean, they're just I'm fascinated why they're like, these are the teams we consistently beat, but we want to be more like them. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Well, so like anything else, the NFL evolves, right? What the Eagles have done in the past doesn't necessarily mean that they can roll it back and expect the same results. I think we've seen the league sort of try to counter what the Eagles have done, which they've done to great success. They won a Super Bowl playing that style, but it's time to grow and evolve as any team needs to do, as any person needs to do in life, and that they need to make sure that that's going to be able to be in full effect. So that would be my rationale to your point.
Yeah, the other thing you got to think about, too, and I brought this up either earlier this week or last week, not important, but the sustainability of the style with which the Eagles play. We've seen them come off of 2 Super Bowl appearances and become first-round exits in years where you didn't have a lot of faith in them to win the playoff games that they were in. Mm-hmm. And part of that conversation, especially this past year, is the health of the big guys up front. Like, how tough is it on the bodies of the offensive line to run that dominant, we're going to beat you up style? It may work one season, and then the next season you are seeing the breakdown of those players' bodies because of how physically they play. They might feel that this is a more sustainable year-over-year way to run an offense where you can have the level of success, but maybe not as much as the attrition with injuries. That's always been my thought for it. It's not just that it's a more quote-unquote exciting offense and modern offense, but that when you're going to have to out-physical teams, the next year's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, that's a great point, Connor. They've long adopted a growing throwback style, but the margin for error is really small. And like any good team will do, they're going to spend a lot of time going back to the tape, going back to the drawing board, seeing what the Eagles have done to great success and figuring out a way to try and stop it. So it's imperative that the Eagles look to get ahead of things here and evolve and grow this offense with the talent that they have and really maximize the window here.
Now, do you think there's a point, because we talked about this earlier with the Jalen contract and the changing of the offense as part of that conversation, like John's thinking that at some point, hey, you're going to see the Lamar Jackson deal come down. Maybe like some of the younger guys, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, the dudes that are up for contract extensions.
Which just means that if one of those franchises gets stupid, then that also says, okay, Jalen's not signing for a penny less than them, and it just raises the money.
Yeah, do you think Howie's sitting at the table saying, if this deal happens, I cash out? Or is he completely, I don't want to say oblivious, but unaffected by what other teams are doing, and the only thing that's affecting this contract is how Jalen performs this year?
Just to be clear, I don't think Howie Roseman's oblivious to anything that goes on in the NFL.
That's why I didn't want to use that word.
I never thought of this part of the question.
I think the influence is entirely, can Jalen run this offense to the level they need him to do to be successful?
Yeah.
And I don't think any contract between now and when they see that is going to affect how they handle it.
Yeah, I see it the same way.
So there's no number you think that would make Howie go, I'm comfortable paying Jalen this, but wait a minute. No, I'm not comfortable paying him that.
No, I don't know that he would flinch, because what happens if you have to make alterations to the offense during the season, and all of a sudden it's an offshoot of what Kellen Moore was doing, and you're going back to the old style again. That the Eagles have made it clear with all of the hirings that they've made and just the vision that's been being put forth, that they're fully committed to this new offense. And I think they, like Connor said, they want to make sure that they're able to kind of fully imagine it.
All right. Well, by the way, we have to change our post. Our post says Jalen Hurts not practicing.
Oh, okay.
Not Jalen Carter not practicing. We have to change that post.
Have to speak up with Rodman.
You have to change it. I think it was Mr. Rodmania. You just have to change that.
We'll get it all cleared up.
I'm getting people going, hey, it's not Jalen Hurts not practicing. It's Jalen Carter not practicing.
Jalen Hurts was there. Now, he did throw an interception. When do we start to panic about Tariq Woolen picking off Jalen Hurts?
Well, we're gonna get into that, because I want to ask him about Woolen, and I'm sure we're gonna get into some of that. But
I have a lot of great things to say.
But the idea of the tracking of stats, I laugh. But I never thought of the question you brought up, though.
Connor's a sharp dude.
No, but that number, though. But you always say you're bad with numbers.
And I don't know what the numbers are. I'm not doing the math.
Numbers. So you really do believe there's no number that would scare him off?
No, I don't think that. I think he's fully aware of all scenarios, and I don't know that he would flinch over someone being paid.
Would you pay him same neighborhood, same subdivision as Patrick Mahomes? Not more than him, but same subdivision, same neighborhood.
Right now?
Yes.
No. Let me ask you this, John.
Okay.
Let me just ask your view on this.
Okay.
What happens if you get into the season and you're not seeing the full effect of the offense? You're seeing some of the stuff from last season and some of the new offense. How are you going to feel? Will you feel fulfilled? Like, will it leave you wanting more? Because if you feel that way, imagine how the Eagles would feel.
I think you know me. You know that I'm not going to. Dude, there's a chance I might not be fulfilled in the third quarter of game one, but but I'm serious. I try to be fair about it. I'm going to give this offense at least the first 6 games.
Of course.
Six games.
And that is,
I think, is a fair measure.
Yes. And that's the thing. They're not going to play in the preseason, the starters. Training camp always offers a glimpse of what they're going to do. So you're not going to have a clearer picture of what the offense is ultimately going to look like, that complexion, until you get into the regular season, which is really important to reiterate. And I've said this a lot now, especially during the spring practices.
Yeah, I just don't want to see Howie Roseman go all in, to use a poker example, like all in pre-flop. You got a chance to see some cards. Let's see some cards. That's what the 2026-27 season is going to be for Jalen Hurts. And while your hand that you have, you already know what those cards are in front of you, I'd like a little more information before I put everything out there.
I guess the problem I'm getting hung up on is the whole sort of hearing people say it's like a prove-it year. And it just drives me nuts. Because I'm like, there's so many guys who he's going to pay that I could say they've proven less to this organization than Jalen Hurts has.
Whatever money you commit is going to be an all-in bet on a franchise quarterback that's already making as much. At this point, hey, flip 3 for me, and let's see if we got a hand.
So you're good with numbers when you're talking about gambling.
Well, I like to win money.
See? What did Andrew DiCecco see as the Eagles got back to work at the Jeff? That notebook, it's in his brain, but he articulates it for us next. Kincaid and Salchunas continues on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. This is Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Great Thursday morning to you. It's always a great Thursday morning when we've got Andrew DiCecco in the house. Connor tried to distract him. I was trying to look for the notebook, just trying to see if I could go through it.
Yeah, no, he keeps that under lock and key.
I couldn't get anywhere
safe somewhere.
It's like, but the thing is the fact that he carries it around in his brain, It's sort of like the nuclear codes.
Yeah, the combination is the numbers of the last 3 undrafted Eagles. You're never going to be able to get it. He's the only one who knows.
Well, I got your undrafted free agents covered all the way back.
See, it changes every day, though. It's
2021
like he changes that sequence every day. So it's like it's the last 3 from the 1984 Eagles.
That's tested my memory a little bit.
Hey, it can work. Hey, Andrew has a notebook, though, and we talk about it. We joke about it, but he does have a notebook. And he loves getting the stories. A mandatory minicamp now, it used to be so different because you used to have more time around the players during an off season. It's over now. 6 weeks from today, the Birds will open up their training camp. They haven't announced the official date, but I believe it's 6 weeks from today.
Yeah, it's going to be late July.
And
everything's later this year.
So I'm guessing 6 weeks from today. And your notebook, you got some stories. You had eyeballs this week. What were the biggest things that grabbed your attention?
Yeah, so as I always like to throw this, disclaimer out there, it is spring practices, so the Eagles are so early in the stages of laying the foundation for this offense, and that should be expected. But you should be intrigued. There's a lot of optimism surrounding the offense, and what I can tell you guys is that I've seen a lot of under center with all the quarterbacks. You're seeing a lot of pre-snap motion, tight splits, and things like that. When you watch the offensive linemen work out before practice, whether it's in individual drills or things like that, you can see some of the different intricacies that Chris Cooper, the newly minted offensive line coach, is implementing there. And it is a stark contrast from what we've grown accustomed to seeing under Jeff Stoutland. And whether it works or not, or it's effective, we're going to find out. But you're seeing a lot more of middle of the field throws and trying to really work and iron out some of those things. And just you want your quarterbacks to become more comfortable with what they're going to be asked to do when the pressure ramps up a little bit in the summer. So it does look new. It definitely looks new. And the running backs have been featured quite heavily in the receiving game. Saquon Barkley caught a flurry of passes. Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby as well. Maybe not as much, but they were still involved. So that's something that we haven't seen implemented in the offense, but I'm curious to see if that ultimately does manifest in the regular season, because in an offense, guys, that's so timing-based, that's paramount. The ball has to come out quickly. You want to build in those options to help your quarterback so they would be effective outlet receivers.
What's the dynamic here? It's intriguing. A little bit of a long question here, but stay with me. So you've got an offense that first-time OC, you're changing the whole system for a lot of guys who have been here for a while, though you do have veteran players. And on the other side, you got Vic Fangio, who's been doing this for 7,000 years, it has run one of the top defenses in football. Mm-hmm. And I can just remember back from, it's very comparable, the freshman high school days. If you were on the defensive side and you maybe jump a route you knew was coming because you know what the offense is running in these circumstances, the coach is pulling you over by the face mask saying, hey, what the hell are you doing? So all of that to get to is the defensive side of the ball. Do you see them maybe pulling punches to allow the offense to work on stuff? Is Vic Fangio going all out saying, hey, you guys got to learn against one of the better units in football? What's the dynamic there?
That's a great question. They're just lining up and playing. I haven't noticed anything different, but you can see a cohesive, poised bunch on the defensive side. Many of these players are entering their third season with Vic Fangio. They're entering their third season of playing together, so that should be expected. If the defense is behind and the offense is ahead, that's not something that anyone should expect. This is a new-look offense, so there's a pretty drastic departure from what they've done in the past. So this is the early stages, the installation. You're learning verbiage, and the coaches are learning the personnel, and the personnel is learning the coaches. They're trying to figure out how to best optimize the skill set of those players. So as I was mentioning to you guys, that's why I don't necessarily focus too much on the player performance aspect as much as I do alignment, how the offense looks. Does a player look like they've added some size? Which, by the way, someone like a Tank Bigsby looks like he has. Cooper DeJean, Nolan Smith, they look like they spent a lot of time in the weight room. Tank Bigsby looks like he's added some more juice. Looks a little bit more explosive. And then you're seeing the different mixing and matching of personnel, which you never want to read too much into, but it is, something that you want to file away for the summer.
The team energy. I know you were a big guy. You were who you saw what A.J. Brown brought to this team. Positives, negatives, all together. You valued it. What did you feel about the energy and the cohesiveness of the team post A.J. Brown?
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to what Jordan Mailata had to say, there was sort of just a relief. You don't have that looming question.
He called it a debacle.
You don't have
AJ debacle.
Well, you just don't. It's the human aspect of things. You don't have that looming question: is he in or is he out? And you're kind of able to just move forward as a team and really focus on what's important, which is establishing continuity with this offense, getting that base. And really trying to grow and evolve things here. And that's really what it's all going to be about. So to answer your question, John, I have seen just a lot of eagerness and optimism surrounding the 2026 Eagles. And that's really what everything is about here. I know that there's a lot of questions about the offense. That takes the forefront, but you got to be really, really intrigued with what the defense could provide this season.
Yeah, tell us why, because people are so zoned in on the offense. Like, what have you seen from that unit? Maybe an individual player, and we know it's early, but that people should be intrigued by the big storylines on that side of the ball that aren't the Jalen Carter contract, because we've already talked about that.
Sure. So anytime you add someone like a Jonathan Grenard to your defense, which I think is going to be a really good pairing. Now, he didn't participate in the team portion of drills. He did individuals, but that was a team decision. That's going to help Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith. Jonathan Grenard is just a year removed in 2023 and 2024 combined. I believe he had 24 and a half sacks. This is a really effective player, and Jalix Hunt, I think, is primed for a breakout season. You look at Cooper DeJean playing safety and base defense. His ability to play three different positions and just sort of unlock a new element to the defense there. But the standout on the defensive side has been Reek Woolen all summer, the Eagles free agent edition. And look, we'll find out more when the pads come on and things like that. But you don't often see 6'4" corners who can flip their hips and run with the gamut of receivers, whether it's a Hollywood Brown, who's 5'10" and a speedster, or a Dontavian Wicks, who's 6'1", 206 pounds. He looks the part. He has great length, and it's just a really tough player to get around. And I think back to a play that he had when he was running stride for stride down the right sideline with Hollywood Brown last week. And the throw was solid. It was there, but there was no room for Hollywood Brown to really run underneath it. And that was because of what you have there with Reek Woolen. So he's a big-time player and a big-time addition. We'll see how he ultimately fits in, but it was good to see.
Woolen's game, when you talk about his size, does he use his size more strategically, like for positioning purposes, or is he more someone who will be defined by physical corner? Well, people say he's a physical corner.
I think you'll see that
because when I hear that size,
you're able to get physical. You're able to have that hand-to-hand combat. But right now, what I've seen is his ability to use his frame for positioning, for advantage, and sort of wall off receivers. And I think the other element to this is that if he's able to really cement his status as that second corner and take to the technique and the discipline and all the things, the fundamentals that Vic Fangio values, having him there allows so much more flexibility and optionality for what Vic Fangio can do, as opposed to last season when they were toggling between Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo, and you had to atone for that. Now, all of a sudden, you're able to kind of deploy your personnel a little bit more creatively.
Are there any spots where you look at, and again, we're going to preface all of this with it's early, it's mandatory minicamp, you're not going full go at all yet. Are there any points where you look at it and you're like, I got to keep an eye on that because that's a little worrisome for the Eagles? If it's a position, if it's a part of the scheme on offense, where's your mind go when I ask you that?
For offense, it's always going to be rhythm, establishing rhythm. Are the quarterbacks getting the ball out quickly? And are they progressing throughout the summer? That's really what I'm looking for. Are they taking steps forward as the weeks progress? And then in terms of just like personnel, I'm really intrigued with the depth along the offensive line. There's a lot of young players. Drew Kendall, in my estimation, is primed to fill the shoes of Brett Toth and being that jack-of-all-trades interior lineman on game day who majors at the center position. Then you have other players, not named Fred Johnson, who are really inexperienced, and Miles Hinton, who's worked a lot at guard in his second season this spring. You have Cameron Williams, and then you have Willie Lampkin and other players like that. But there's so much youth there. So that's something I'm looking to see who emerges, and because that's something that the Eagles have had to tap into in recent years.
Chris Cooper?
Very intense.
Okay, so can you compare and contrast at all styles of coaching during practice sessions or individual sessions with what you saw with Jeff Stoutland over the years?
Chris Cooper's intense. He's bouncing around. He has he's very, very engaged. That's not to say that Jeff Stoutland wasn't, but there's a lot more tempo to the way that he sort of conducts the individuals, and very instructive. You can see that they're really paying attention to his directives, and a lot of that, especially for someone like Lane Johnson, who's been around for a while. How do you get that buy-in? Well, he's played the game before. Chris Cooper was a guard for the Denver Broncos, and he also said that he spoke to players for the Minnesota Vikings, namely Brian O'Neill, to get more insight. And Brian O'Neill said that was the best offensive line coach that he's had in his career. So when you have that playing experience, you're able to relate to a player in a different way. Yeah, it's not going to be quite like Jeff Stoutland, where you're so accustomed to a certain style and a long-standing sample size of production, but he's coming at it from a different perspective, and that's where the buy-in comes in.
It sounds like it. Yeah, I like hearing that. When Mark Schlereth joined us and talked about him, he spoke glowingly of him, but he said you got to have. He said balls that day because you got to have balls to take the job.
Yeah, and
to replace Jeff Stoutland.
He's not going to flinch.
It's a high bar.
I'm really, really intrigued to see what he's able to do with this group.
So far, so good, it sounds like.
That sounds good, yeah. Good first, good club. Good club. Hey, we'll get your feedback via the text line on some of the things we've been talking about this morning. And if you have questions for Andrew DiCecco, we'd love to hear from them too. Plus, Connor has a new Eagle that he's fallen in love with. Wow. See? The romance thing can go both ways, Connor. Kincaid and Salchunas continues on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. Now back to Kincaid and Salchunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
So many new additions, so little time. The Eagles found some new faces. Connor was talking about him a little bit earlier. Andrew DiCecco, the Eagles found some players. Now, I always say Christy here, one of our listeners, says, John, I love the energy that you've got for the Eagles coverage, and I love your positivity, but I don't like it when you say the Eagles found guys at Big Lots. It sounds like you're being very dismissive of their talents, and you're nicer than that.
I agree.
Really?
Yes.
You think it sounds... Look, okay, because I don't mean to be... I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, people, but I'm like, it's like these guys were on the street. I could have said, like, they found him at Goodwill. I mean, are you like, would that have been worse?
Hey, there's some good stuff at Goodwill.
Oh, no, I like Goodwill. No. I like Goodwill. So I'm like, so I don't mean it as a thing. And I go to Big Lots, too. I go to Big Lots. If I have time to kill, I'll go to Big Lots.
I think the scouting department deserves a lot of credit for being able to unearth a lot of these prospects. And I agree with whoever, what was her name? With Christy.
Christy says, she goes, I love your enthusiasm. She likes my positivity for the Eagles. But she goes, it sounds that it's being like mean to the people. When I say the Eagles found these guys at Big Lots.
Yeah, with the latter part of what she had to say, I agree with.
Well, it's like, with some of the prospects, you find it at Nordstrom. You're paying Nordstrom prices. It's more of the price you have to pay is the thing that I'm saying. It's the price.
I'm not even going to try to get inside.
It's the price.
That head of yours,
it's the price you have to pay. What did you think of the Eagles' newest additions? That they've a few off. Now, people will say the scrap heap. Is that also?
Break down.
People use that all the time.
Just say break down the draft picks.
Break down the draft picks. Michael Jordan for us.
No, the Eagles signed a defensive end yesterday.
Yes,
is he just a camp body?
Well, right now it's hard to say that it's anything more than adding a player who has played in 91 games, started 19 games, and was a second-round pick of the Buffalo Bills. It's an intriguing name, but right now all it is a name who provides competent depth that you can kind of look to see. He has a different play style than some of the other players. He's more of a traditional 4-3 defensive end. He's a power end at 6'6", 260 pounds, 24 career sacks. He's not really a sack specialist. He's more of a power rusher who's going to be able to play the run and fill some gaps there. But those are the type of players that the Eagles are naturally going to take a swing on, and I think that there's some upside there. And then with the guard, Michael Jordan, that's a player that the Eagles brought in for rookie minicamp on a tryout basis. He's a seventh-year pro, started a bunch of games, was a 4th-round pick out of Ohio State, the Cincinnati Bengals. They need depth. I talked about the offensive line. Aside from really Fred Johnson, they're really green when it comes to experience on the offensive line, and he's going to add some more competition to that. They drafted Micah Morris in the 6th round out of Georgia, but aside from that, they don't necessarily have a true backup guard.
Yeah, it'll be fun when we do Eagles pregame this year, and I'm sitting here and Ray Dunn's next to me. If he's making the team and he's one of maybe the inactive players on some weeks, just to hear whatever Michael Jordan joke Ray Dunn's going to come up with, that he pays his weight in gold just in that alone.
Hopefully he doesn't get suspended. I mean, retire in the middle of his career. That'd be a good one. Hey, who's your Eagles crush?
All right, I've fallen in love
because
I
want Andrew DiCecco to make fun of you the way you do with me with Don Mattingly.
I think that I'm going to have to share this person with Andrew DiCecco because I think he feels the same way about this player as I do. So there was a couple of clips circulating yesterday on social media. One of the most intriguing names that the Philadelphia Eagles have in the organization right now is Uar Bernard, who, of course, never played football before. They drafted him through the International Pathway Program, and he's getting his first taste of what life in the NFL is like. I thought it was really cool, some of the stuff that he had to say, and when I heard this clip, I was like, I already love this player.
I hardly go out and just focus on my playbook and my teammate. So, coming into the building is fun for me, and I love it here, so I want to grow every day, so I keep my focus in the building, keeping the main thing.
Keeping the main thing, the main thing.
I love it from him. Like he already knows the sayings and everything. And if you listen to some of the longer clips, and Andrew, I know you got a chance to talk to him as well, where it wasn't recorded, so I'm interested in your takeaways on it. He sounds like a dude that, and why wouldn't he dive in on this opportunity? But don't take that for granted. When you ask a guy, hey, what are you doing around this city that you've never been in before? Some people would be out trying a cheesesteak, seeing what the bar scene is. He's just like, I'm zoned in on trying to make as much of this as I can. What is the work ethic that you've seen so far from him? And what did you learn when you got a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, the work ethic is extremely high, and that's something that it should be understood that Clint Hurt, who advocated for him, if you had a chance to watch the Eagles draft video, he's not going to do that if it weren't for his work ethic. There was a workout that he went to Florida to work him out, and that's something that has been a common theme when it comes to Uar, and you don't get to this position without having extremely high work ethic and attention to detail. I interviewed his trainer, Javon Gopi, and he outlined to me just the whole process of how he how he started working with them. And he went to a pre-combine in October in London, and he jumped the 38-inch vertical where they couldn't find shoes to house his feet, and he kind of had to do it in socks. So this is just an immensely athletic human being that can do things that aren't all that common. And you couple that with someone like Clint Hurt, who, in my estimation, is the best defensive line coach in the NFL, or certainly among them. I think that he's going to bet on himself every time.
I just love the attitude. And the other thing that we talked about that we should bring to the listeners, this is when I was distracting Andrew before he came in and put the headphones on. You brought up a great point about, like, making the team or not, because my worry is, hey, I'm going to fall in love with this guy. He's a long shot to do all that much at the NFL level because the guy's never played before. Like, you're taking a swing on a guy that could have a ceiling in this league at some point. You brought up a great point on trying to get him through waivers and why that might be tough if he doesn't just make the team.
Yeah, a lot of times, whether it's the Philadelphia Eagles or the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Indianapolis Colts, there's always a player who shines in training camp, and it always seems like every year, well, they can't waive this guy, they're going to get claimed. Well, in reality, such a small fraction of the players who are released in one final cutdown are actually claimed, because if you claim a player, you're going to hope to try and get them into your system in short order, and that's just not the case. You're more inclined to keep a player who has been with you through OTAs and training camp. And so when you look at Uar Bernard, he's a special case because 21 years old, 6'4", 306 pounds, 6% body fat, all those tremendous athletic qualities that he brings to the table. All it takes is one team to try to look at the Eagles' blueprint and say, we're going to bring him in, and we're going to try to establish and develop him, and understand that it's going to take some time, and you have to exercise patience and have a long-term vision here. The Eagles were fully aware of all of this when they drafted him, and they're supporting it. They're rallying around him, and they have the support system to really help him flourish. So it's going to take some time, but because of that, I think that he kind of, like Jordan Mailata did as a rookie, makes the team, stays on the back end of the roster with the understanding that it's going to be a learning season.
All right, Connor, I'm going to give you time to shower.
Yeah,
during the break after that, because I could see you're getting a little hyperventilated.
I love the guy.
Good. It's good. It's exciting. It's exciting, and that's a pretty good review there of what Andrew's talking about. He's got another hour of sharing that type of information with us. But coming up, last year's the defending Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, had 8 of the top 69 players on the NFL's top 100 players list, voted by NFL players. How's it going to look this time around? I want to review last year's rankings with all the guys, and I want them to tell me how high or how low those same players will be on this year's rankings. Plus, will any Eagles crack the list that didn't last year? And more importantly, will any Eagle fall off the list? A little truth or dare coming up. Kincaid and Salchunas, 1 hour to go here on The Fanatic.